You know? Somebody dropped a certain stimulator. And I think it was her. Ugh, that face. Just why do you did is this from using this too much? Is that why you're making that face? Hello everyone, I am. She's lovely, isn't she? We love her so much. Becca Random 42, the one, the only, the original, your favorite YouTube consumer advocate, Harpy. And when this doctor isn't making these weird expressions, the mainstream media seems to be perfectly fine and happy to just stand up for her all over the... Yeah. You know what? I don't even like your TARDIS. It looks like crab legs. Why do you have a TARDIS that looks like crab legs? You know what would be a much better TARDIS? That's much better. Can we get rid of her as well? Because you know what? Sometimes we also need theme music. Oh yeah, we do. Especially when we get articles. Like this. Woo! Loud! Kill the theme music. I am Mecha Random 42 still. Did I already say that? I probably did. You know what? It's one of those days. My brain has fallen right out of my head on stream, live in front of everybody. Doctor Who's Time Lords were a clumsy retcon long before The Timeless Child. So what? You're trying to convince everybody that Doctor Who wasn't good originally just so you can make excuses for how bad it is now? Because that's what it comes across like when we see these articles. That is the only reason why I'm talking about this article right now, is so that I can remind you guys, I am a consumer advocate first and foremost, what these articles are designed for. When you see a headline like this in an article, it basically is designed to push something out there into the ether, into the public consciousness, so that somebody who might not be a Doctor Who fan might repeat in passing, oh, I heard they already retconned it and it was pretty sloppy anyway. Just to discredit anybody who has criticism of the Timeless Child retcon. You know, the one where the Doctor basically wasn't the Doctor. Our first Doctor wasn't the first Doctor. There was hundreds of thousands of versions of the Doctor for you to see yourself as.
Can't enjoy anything unless you see yourself represented? Are you a white girl that needs to scream for diversity out of guilt? Wokemon.
That's what it seems like. Just for their game of Wokemon. Just to keep the little Karens out there from being upset, from being sad that Doctor Who is basically a bunch of old white dudes. And you know what? What's wrong with that? That's how the character was written. We're not allowed to have people represented who might not look like us. Oh, gee, no. You know what that would be? That would be ist, wouldn't it? That would be anti a certain person based on something superficial about themselves that they can't change, you know, unlike an expression that nobody needs to see. Pokemon, gotta collect them all. Well, we gotta represent them all too, absolutely. We're recording this in the middle of a live stream. Like I said, brain fell right out of my head today. Doctor Who's 12th season Timeless Child reveal was a clumsy retcon. Wow, I can talk. But it's easy to forget. The Time Lords themselves were a clumsy retcon too. Yeah, but that was cool. Clumsy retcons aside, you can retcon the crap out of anything as long as... look at the costumes. Look at the Time Lords themselves. I know, they retcon things time and time again. You have a show where you can travel throughout time and space. Literally, in the show, you can go anywhere. You can even go into other dimensions if you need to. In this, it's hard, it's tricky, but you can do it. There's ways, if you're a clever enough science fiction writer. But the people who are making current Doctor Who couldn't even think of a Christmas special. They couldn't even think of a Christmas special to do, so they had to push it off. I've done videos on this. They had to push it off for a New Year's special, and now that's tradition, because this is, 25% different Doctor Who. You gotta make it just different enough so you guys can put your new merchandise on there, just so the people like Chibnall and all the people in charge can what? Go in and ruin Doctor Who. There he is, Chibnall right there. Doctor Who's the Time Lords. We're a clumsy retcon. At least they're acknowledging it. This new one is, right? At least they're acknowledging the new one. That the Timeless Child was a clumsy retcon. At least they're acknowledging that. And you know what? In this day and age, when you already have criticism of your show, maybe be a little less clumsy with retcons. When you are just doing it just for identity politics. When you're just doing this to appease this woke masses. Also, please give Wentworth a go, Becca. I would love to watch you review that. Well, thank you so much, SS. £5 super chat. I really, really appreciate it. We're going to jiggle after just so it's easier to edit. Time Lords were a clumsy retcon. Longer. Why did you say clumsy? Maybe don't say clumsy. At least they're using that for Chibnall's version. And I say that because I can't pronounce the name Chibnall without completely stumbling on it. Long before the showrunner Chris Chibnall, you know this guy, Chimballs, the Timeless Child, right? Long before he did that, Doctor Who Season 12 rewrote decades of Doctor Who continuity, revealing that the Doctor is in fact the Timeless Child, a cosmic being who predates Time Lord society and who became the base genetic code for the entire Time Lord race. Lottie freaking da. This was revealed in the Doctor Who Season 12 finale that nobody liked. Nobody liked this. I didn't like it. You didn't like it. Nobody liked it. I think the only people who like it are people who are like, it's okay. I like Doctor Who because I can leave it on. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But the more diehard Who fans, the Whovians, even people like me who grew up watching Doctor Who, love it. I love Doctor Who. I love the old stuff. Love Tom Baker. Love the old Doctor Who stuff, right? The new stuff has really been going downhill with all these new writers. This guy. This show is a chore to sit through now. This show is a task. This show is not a piece of entertainment. This show is a bunch of people wandering around in a dark TARDIS that looks like a crab leg, basically going around calling to each other. They're wandering in aimlessly in the dark calling to each other. That's all it's become. And when it's not that, it's a bunch of identity politics. Oh, the white guy has to be the villain just because. Environmental issues that hit you over the head with it. It talks down to you like you're 5 years old. And I'm sorry, Doctor Who always had a young fan base. That's fine. Don't treat your fan base like that's all that are there. There are more than just 5-year-olds watching Doctor Who. I promise you, many people that I know and see, people who are Guinness World Record holders for Doctor Who collectibles, are not happy with what they're doing here, right? These people, grown adult Doctor Who fans, deserve better. We deserve a little bit better for putting our time, money, years, energy into these shows. The reveal is in the Season 12 finale, The Timeless Children, written by Chibnall himself. It apparently builds upon an idea Chibnall first came up with back in the late 80s when he was a teenager, glued to the TV screen watching the dying days of the original series. Well, there's your problem. You're watching the Sylvester McCoy era. I like him. I like him enough. Not my favorite era of Doctor Who, obviously. I don't think it's anybody's favorite era of Doctor Who. But I can get it if you wanted to kind of fix some of that. As such, it's hardly a surprise the retcon has been heavily criticized for elevating classic Doctor Who above the 2005. No, it didn't. It didn't. All it did was give you opportunities to have a diverse Doctor to attach yourself to, who are nothing more than a literal flash on screen to show diversity. That is all these new Doctors are for. They're just so you can see yourself represented as a Doctor. And I did that in my review. I talked about that. That's all they're there for. They just flip through them so quickly. This is where my brain's still broken, I think. I get so frustrated talking about time and time again. We get the same stuff going on in every single show and TV franchise, movie, every single geek franchise that is popular and beloved by a lot of people. That is the latest MO, is how do we get rid of half of our fans? Maybe you should try and incorporate and make happy the fans you already have. Maybe instead of trying to get rid of half your fans for this imagined demographic of people who don't even like TV and movies, maybe cater to the people who are there. I don't know. It doesn't help that the episode wasn't particularly well written, employing a tell, not show approach, as the Master literally gave the Doctor a lecture inside the Matrix. The retcon has naturally proved incredibly divisive. You think? You think? So much so that I would much rather be here on this TARDIS than on the other one, than on the bad one, than on Jodie's crab leg one. Because you know what happens when we go onto Jodie's crab leg TARDIS? I feel weird. I feel icky. I feel icky, especially when I gotta sit there and she's going at me all over the place. I don't like this TARDIS. That's better. In all the heat and fury over the Timeless Child debate, however, fans have mostly forgotten the Doctor's established history was itself a clumsy retcon. All right. But now that it's established, retconning this now for Wokemon reasons is so transparent. It is so clear as day that they do not have any ideas for good stories. They're just focused on activism. Just like Star Trek, just like all of these properties, they only care about their activism. They only care about the message they send. They don't actually care about that. They want to fix the couple of bad eras of Doctor Who, which is fine. You can fix the couple of bad eras. Maybe don't use a script idea from the late 80s. You know what? Maybe mature a little bit. Maybe grow up past teenage years of writing, because you know what happens when you do write something when you're a teenager. You grow and you learn from that. Chibnall, maybe you shouldn't have been using an old story from when you were a teenager. Maybe you should have thought a little bit beyond that. Maybe you should, I don't know, hire people who can actually write something. Even Stephen Moffat didn't have a problem hiring people. And I'm not even the biggest Stephen Moffat era Doctor Who fan, to be perfectly honest. I can take a lot of the Matt Smith stuff as really, really, really good. Sometimes it's not, though. Sometimes it starts going downhill, and then it starts going really downhill once Clara becomes involved as the girl who has to keep the Doctor in line all the time and talk down to him. Really, you've got this 20-something-year-old girl talking down to the hundreds and hundreds of year old alien right in front of her. Like she knows better. Like she knows best. Right. That's my issue with that era. And then it gets even worse once we get into the Capaldi era stuff, because modernism, modern day times where you have to put identity over story. You have to put the label instead of the person. And you know what? When you reduce people just to the label, like with the new Doctor, you're basically just reducing her to the female Doctor. Did you guys ever think of that? Did you think that maybe women deserve a little better than just, oh, she's the female Doctor that nobody liked? She's the female Doctor whose stories were crap because they were written by a teenager way back in the day. Maybe that's what they should have realized when they were doing this stuff. And you know what? It's not just to continue with male doctors. People wouldn't have had a problem with that. Who do you have to appease so hard? Me? I don't want to see a woman Doctor. I want to be whisked away by the Doctor. I want to go off on adventures with the alien, right? I want to go off, and I don't want to go around to preschool playground with mom and granddad and the couple of juvenile delinquent kids that she's got to babysit, right? Because it really comes off like preschool. That's what it feels like with this new Doctor. When the Doctor was launched in '63, the creators only had the vaguest idea of what the Doctor's backstory was. Yeah, that's because it was a brand new show. William Hartnell's first Doctor gave a brief explanation in the first episode, An Unearthly Child. It doesn't exactly gel well with our ideals, or their ideas. I tolerate this century, the Doctor furiously insisted when speaking to school teachers Ian and Barbara. But I don't enjoy it. Have you ever thought what it's like to be wanderers in the fourth dimension? Have you? To be exiles? Susan and I are cut off from our own planet, without friends or protection, but one day we shall get back. Yes, one day. One day. These first stories portray the Doctor as an inventor who created the TARDIS as a device actually named by his granddaughter, Susan. Yeah, we've all seen that. I've seen that one. They were presented as explorers who got cut off from other people. Yeah, and you're throwing a temper tantrum now because a show that has been on for well over 50 years changed a little bit in the first place because the lead actor got ill and they needed to regenerate him. And they had to figure out, oh crap, how do we do this? That is not the case with Jodie Whittaker's doctor. With Jodie Whittaker's doctor, they only did that just as a big giant FU to every doctor that came before. They did not do this as a way to say, we're writing ourselves out of a sticky situation. Our lead actor is no longer able to play this character. How do we fix this? No. That is the problem here. You're not writing something as a way to fix anything. You're writing something as a way to hurt something. You're writing something with this malicious way of going in and tearing down what has come before like it's a bad thing. And when you give that message to the crowd, that is why I bring out the writing crop. That is why we get upset. That is why we get so frustrated with these things. That is why we're still making videos on this. This is why we still talk about this. This is why I still talk about Star Trek, is because they have this malicious attitude that it was bad before. If it was bad before, you didn't have to watch it. If you don't like Doctor Who in the first place, don't watch it. And the fact that they have to change it to fix something that wasn't a problem is the problem right there. I don't think I need to read any more of this article. What do you guys say in chat? Star Trek died in 2009, just like CBS did with Star Trek. Absolutely. They did that. Terminator Dark Fate, the FU to John Connor. Oh, I have a Justice for John Connor shirt. Actually, check out my Teespring store. We have a lot of new stuff, including a nice Short Trek sticker that I really, really am proud of. Don't you know canon doesn't matter? Well, canon does matter, because why else do people care? Why else would people tune in if you can't remember the stories and enjoy reciting them back to each other and enjoy discussing them and saying, who's your favorite doctor in time, in history? You know, what's your favorite TARDIS? That is the point. That is why canon is important. If canon isn't important, then you're telling me my viewing isn't important, right? If you don't care what your canon is, what your internal canon is, then basically you do not care about having a viewing audience of geeks who are going to pay attention to it. If you don't care about your internal storytelling canon, then why should we care as an audience? Why should we spend money? Why should we buy the merch? Why should we give this man any money when he just doesn't care, when he's just so concerned with tearing down everything that came before, but just because he didn't like it? Because it sounds to me like he's an anti-fan. It sounds to me like you got the same type of people who dislike the show. And I know he doesn't dislike the show. I've seen him as a teenager on BBC TV talking about Doctor Who. I know he loves Doctor Who. What is the purpose of tearing it down right now? Did you get involved in a job that you couldn't do? Is that what this is? And you had to go and find some old story and just hope it would work out? Because that's what modern day television is? I can do better, but they'd never hire me because I'm not British. I am diverse enough, though. He's a Darren. Do we really need an Orville Doctor Who? Yes, we need an Orville version of Doctor Who. Tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. I am going back to my live chat. Continuity, canon, all of that matters. Don't you guys go anywhere. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, make sure to hit that like button. And if you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video. Bye!
You want to see my crank?